I'm your host, Alex Jones. And if you're a TV viewer, you can see the big map here from Johns Hopkins that's integrated into the World Health Organization and the CDC. Redfield is the head of the CDC. And here is a statement that he just made. CDC Director warns coronavirus soon widespread throughout the United States. It's coming, and they go on to say that it's basically broken quarantine, but they're in aggressive containment mode as it begins to spread. Here's what he had to say.
The worst case scenario here in the United States.
So far, we've been able to contain it, but I think this virus is probably with us beyond this season or beyond this year, and I think eventually the virus will find a foothold and we will get community-based transmission, and you can start to think of it in a sense like seasonal flu.
Now, going back a month ago, we said, is this just a giant world government police state drill with Xi Jinping using it to crack down and to change the subject from losing the trade war with the U.S., massive insurrection, both on the mainland but also in Hong Kong and Taiwan? Well, definitely they've used it for that, but now it's coming out that they've suppressed the numbers of infected and the numbers of dead massively. And the reason you're seeing hysteria in China is because the virus is man-made. We know that. It's been engineered, and there's a concerted effort to cover that up. Now we've had the head of the CDC and others come out and indeed say that we need to investigate whether this is man-made or not, because the major universities have scanned it. It is man-made. So the United States is giving China a chance to go ahead and come out and admit what happened here. And all the smart money was on this 3 weeks ago, and now that's where all the red flags, all the red arrows, all of the fingers are pointing is at China working on a vaccine to a bioweapon that's a live virus and it getting out. Wouldn't be the first time that vaccine tests end up causing a pandemic or end up causing a major crisis. But what we do know is this is very unusual, and InfoWars is going to be here on air tracking it all as it unfolds. And the Pentagon, as we told you 3 weeks ago, has set up these emergency centers. Now that's all admitted. They're expanding those. And aggressive containment means if you have this virus, they're going to lock you up. Now, are they doing that to set the precedent to lock people up, or is it because it's so deadly? Well, a lot of people have said, well, we'll end up finding out because there'll be a bunch of deaths. No, when there's a real crisis, they tend to cover it up, not just our government, other governments. You know, it wasn't just the Russians that covered up Chernobyl. In the 1950s, a huge reactor blew up in California. They didn't admit it till the 80s. And most estimates were worse than Chernobyl. But do Americans even know about that famous sodium reactor blowing up? No, you can look it up. America's Chernobyl. Just type that in. California. It wasn't 3 Mile Island and some leakage. It was a reactor completely exploding like Chernobyl. So these governments and these corporations tend to cover things up, and that's why I was once a supporter of nuclear power, because if it's done right, it's a great thing. These companies and these CEOs just don't care, and they let everything fall apart and then melt down and blow up. And if you think that's bad, the military runs a better ship with the nuclear submarines and the aircraft carriers, but you know those have had disasters as well that have been swept under the rug. I know some of the people involved, some of the submarine captains that were involved in this, when they were ordered to radiate their ships and test. So clearly Xi Jinping, I mean, if you watch the people with what look like glorified leaf blowers coming in and spraying antiviral chemicals on people, this is what it's like to live in an authoritarian regime. Remember back in the 1950s, they said duck and cover for atomic attack from the Russians. And of course, getting under a desk isn't going to help you if the air raid sirens are going off in 15 minutes and ICBMs are coming in. But it creates that fear. And that's what it's really all about. Yeah, they found it LA's secret nuclear disaster. In fact, folks didn't even know there was a reactor there. Just like living here in Austin, there are 2 reactors. one under UT and one up at the J.J. Pickle Research Lab. That's not even secret. And I have Austinites walk up to me and go, I heard you say there's nuclear reactors in Austin. No, they're not, because people just can't deal with the truth. Anything that scares them, they just say it's a conspiracy theory, and they hope it all goes away. Well, I'll tell you this. One big bellwether is that we've had FEMA and different federal agencies try to buy up all the food from our sponsor, My Patriot Supply, and the orders have intensified the last week over what they were even 3 weeks ago.